A man stands alone in an empty house. The furniture is gone. The cars are gone. His own family will not answer his calls. 2 years ago, this same man held a check for $10 million. He cried tears of joy in front of cameras. Today, he sleeps on a friend's couch. How does a family go from $10 million to nothing in just 2 years? What really happened behind closed doors? Stay with me, because this story will break your heart. Before any of this happened, the Maddox family was just like millions of others. They lived in a small town. Money was always tight. Every single month was a struggle. James Maddox worked at a factory for 15 years. His wife, Carol, cleaned houses to help pay the bills. They had 3 children, and every one of them shared a single bedroom. Imagine working 60 hours a week and still not having enough. Imagine telling your kids they cannot have new shoes this year. That was James and Carol's daily reality. James used to buy one lottery ticket every Friday. It was his only small luxury. He called it his dollar of hope. His co-workers used to joke about it. They said he was wasting his money on dreams. James always smiled and said, "Someone has to win. Why not me?" Carol never complained about the ticket. She understood that hope was sometimes more important than the dollar itself. Every Friday night, the family would sit together and watch the numbers. Their oldest daughter, Emily, was 17 years old. She dreamed of becoming a nurse, but college felt impossible. The family simply did not have that kind of money. Their middle son, Tyler, was 14. He loved basketball, but he never owned real basketball shoes. He played in old sneakers that hurt his feet. Their youngest, little Sophie, was only 6 years old. She didn't understand money problems yet. She just knew her parents always looked tired. James often stayed up late doing the math. Bills, groceries, rent, gas for the car. The numbers never added up the way he needed them to. Carol would sometimes cry quietly in the bathroom. She didn't want the children to see her stress. She just wanted a better life for her family. This was their normal life. Hard work, small joys, constant worry about money. Nobody could have predicted what was about to happen. It was a regular Friday night in spring. James bought his usual ticket on the way home from work. He didn't think twice about it. The family gathered around the small television like always. Sophie sat on her father's lap. Tyler held the ticket in his hands. The numbers started appearing on the screen one by one. James called them out loud as he checked his ticket. His voice started shaking on the 3rd number. By the 5th number, his hands were trembling. Carol noticed his face turn pale. "James, what's wrong?" she whispered. He couldn't speak. He just held the ticket up with shaking hands. Every single number matched perfectly. The room went completely silent for a moment. Then Carol screamed and grabbed the ticket from his hands. She checked it again and again and again. "We won," James finally said, his voice breaking. "We actually won." Tears poured down his face as he hugged his children tight. $10 million. That was the prize. A number so big it didn't even feel real to them. The children started jumping and screaming with joy. Sophie didn't fully understand, but she laughed because everyone else was laughing. Tyler kept repeating, "We're rich. We're actually rich." Carol held James's hands and cried into his shoulder. 15 years of struggle suddenly felt like it was over. All the sleepless nights, all the worry, gone in one single moment. That night, nobody slept at all. The family stayed awake talking about their dreams. James wanted to pay off the house immediately. Carol wanted to start a small business of her own. Emily dreamed about nursing school without any financial fear. Tyler wanted new basketball shoes, a real basketball court, everything. They called their closest relatives with shaking voices. Word spread through the small town within hours. By morning, everyone knew about the Maddox family's incredible luck. News reporters showed up at their front door. Neighbors who had never spoken to them suddenly became very friendly. The local newspaper wanted an exclusive interview. James and Carol stood together holding a giant check. Cameras flashed everywhere around them. They smiled wide, full of hope for their family's future. In their hearts, they believed this money would finally fix everything. They believed it would bring their family closer together. Nobody warned them how dangerous sudden wealth could actually be. The first few weeks felt like a beautiful dream. James quit his factory job immediately. Carol stopped cleaning houses the very next day. They bought a huge new house with 6 bedrooms. Each child finally got their own room for the first time. Sophie picked a room with pink walls and a princess bed. Tyler got brand new basketball shoes, 10 pairs at once. He also got a private basketball court built in the backyard. His old worn-out sneakers were thrown straight into the trash. Emily enrolled in nursing school without any financial worry. James bought 2 brand-new trucks within the first month. Carol bought herself jewelry she had only seen in magazines before. For a while, it felt like pure magic. The family went on a luxury vacation to Hawaii. They stayed in the most expensive hotel they could find. But slowly, quietly, things started shifting underneath the surface. Relatives the family barely knew suddenly started calling constantly. Old friends from years ago suddenly reappeared in their lives. James's cousin, who hadn't spoken to him in 5 years, called crying about debt. He asked for $50,000 to save his house. James, feeling generous, said yes immediately. Carol's sister asked for money to start a business. She promised to pay it back within a year. That promise was never kept, not even once. Within 3 months, James had given away nearly $1 million to relatives. He didn't want to say no to family. He didn't want to seem selfish with his new fortune. Friends from his old factory job started asking for loans too. Some asked for cars. Others asked for cash to cover gambling debts. Imagine being surrounded by people who suddenly love you. Imagine not knowing if they love you or just love your money. James started to feel that confusion deeply. Carol noticed something darker happening too. James started going out at night without explanation. He came home late, smelling like alcohol and cigarette smoke. She later discovered he had started gambling at a casino 2 hours away. He told himself he could turn 10 million into 20 million easily. He believed the money made him invincible. The first big loss happened in month 4. James lost $200,000 in a single night at the casino. He didn't tell Carol the real amount for weeks. Tyler, only 14 years old, started hanging out with older teenagers. These new friends only appeared after the money arrived. They convinced him to try alcohol for the first time. Emily, despite the chaos around her, tried to stay focused on nursing school. But the tension at home made it nearly impossible to concentrate. She watched her family slowly falling apart around her. By month 6, Carol and James were arguing almost every single night. The arguments were always about money, trust, and lies. Sophie, only 6 years old, started having nightmares from the yelling. James met a financial advisor at the casino bar one night. This man promised to triple their money through a special investment. James, desperate to recover his losses, agreed without checking anything. He invested $3 million into a fake real estate scheme. The man disappeared completely within 2 months. The money was gone forever, vanished without any trace. Carol found out about this loss by accident, through a bank statement. She confronted James in front of the children. Sophie cried in the corner, terrified by her parents screaming. This was the moment everything truly began collapsing. Trust between James and Carol was completely broken. The family that money was supposed to save started tearing itself apart. By month 8, James was gambling almost every single week. He told himself each loss could be fixed with one good win. This is exactly how addiction quietly destroys people. Carol, desperate and scared, secretly moved some remaining money into a separate account. She didn't tell James about it. She was trying to protect something, anything, for their children. James discovered the hidden account during a heated argument. He accused Carol of betraying him and stealing from the family. The accusation was deeply unfair, but pain rarely listens to logic. Tyler's new friends convinced him to try drugs for the first time. He was only 15 years old at this point. Nobody at home even noticed for weeks. Imagine a child slowly disappearing into addiction while his parents fight downstairs. Imagine nobody noticing until it's almost too late. That was exactly what happened to Tyler. Emily eventually dropped out of nursing school entirely. The constant chaos at home destroyed her ability to focus. Her dream, the one the money was supposed to fund, quietly died. By month 12, the original 10 million had shrunk dramatically. Bad investments, gambling losses, and constant loans had taken almost $7 million. The family had been wealthy for exactly 1 year. James's cousin, who received $50,000 earlier, stopped answering his calls completely. Carol's sister, who borrowed money for her business, blocked her number entirely. Their friends, who loved them, suddenly disappeared too. This is one of the cruelest parts of sudden wealth. People appear when the money flows. They vanish completely the moment it starts running out. By month 14, James and Carol stopped sleeping in the same room. The huge 6-bedroom house felt cold and empty despite being full. Money had bought space, but destroyed closeness. Tyler was caught by police with drugs at only 15 years old. He spent one night in juvenile detention. James, drunk at the time, couldn't even pick him up. Carol arrived alone, crying, completely heartbroken in the police station lobby. She kept asking herself where everything went wrong. The honest answer was painful. Everything changed the night they won. By month 16, James had lost another $2 million gambling. He started selling personal items to cover secret debts. Carol's expensive jewelry mysteriously started disappearing from the house. Emily, now 19, moved out to live with a friend. She couldn't watch her family destroy itself anymore. Leaving broke her heart, but staying was breaking her completely. Picture a 6-year-old girl watching her entire family disappear, one person at a time. Sophie cried herself to sleep almost every single night now. She didn't understand why money made everyone so sad. By month 18, only $3 million remained from the original $10 million. James, desperate, made one final terrible gambling decision. He bet nearly the entire remaining amount on a single night. He lost almost everything in less than 6 hours. $2.5 million disappeared in one single, devastating night. James sat alone in the casino bathroom, unable to even cry. He didn't tell Carol immediately. He couldn't find the courage. The shame was simply too heavy to carry into words. Carol discovered the truth 3 days later through their bank statements. She didn't scream this time. She simply sat down on the floor and went completely silent. That silence was somehow worse than any argument before it. James knew. In that exact moment, their marriage was truly over. The money was nearly gone, and so was everything else. By month 20, Carol filed for divorce. The huge house they bought was sold immediately. Lawyers and remaining debts took almost everything that was left. Tyler, now 16, was in a court-ordered rehabilitation program. His addiction had grown far worse over those 2 terrible years. Nobody at home had been stable enough to help him sooner. Emily, struggling on her own, worked 2 jobs just to survive. Her dream of nursing school felt impossibly far away again. She was right back where she started, except now more broken. Sophie, only 8 years old now, lived primarily with Carol. She rarely saw her father anymore. The little girl who once laughed during the lottery win barely smiled at all now. By the final months of year 2, James had almost nothing left. The remaining money covered legal fees, debts, and basic survival costs. From $10 million, almost nothing genuinely remained. He moved into a small rented apartment alone. The same man who once held a giant winning check now struggled to pay rent. The factory job he quit 2 years earlier was simply gone now. Imagine standing in an empty apartment, completely alone, just 2 years after holding $10 million. That was James Maddox's painful new reality. Every single dream from that magical night was now completely shattered. Carol eventually moved into a small apartment with Sophie. She found work again, cleaning houses just like before. In some painful way, life had circled back almost completely to where it started. The difference now was the damage that remained underneath. A broken marriage, a son fighting serious addiction, a daughter who lost years of her education and innocence. Tyler eventually completed his rehabilitation program successfully. He still struggles with addiction recovery to this very day. The scars from those chaotic 2 years never fully disappeared. Emily slowly returned to community college years later. She's still working toward becoming a nurse today. Her journey simply took a much longer, much harder path. Sophie, now older, barely remembers the wealthy years clearly anymore. What she does remember is the constant yelling and crying. Money gave her a beautiful bedroom, but took away her peaceful childhood. James, to this day, still struggles with gambling temptation regularly. He attends support meetings to help control the addiction. He says losing the money was painful, but losing his family hurt far more. This story isn't unique, and that's truly the most frightening part. Studies consistently show many lottery winners face financial ruin within just a few years. Sudden wealth, without proper preparation, can destroy lives shockingly fast. Why does this keep happening to so many different families? Psychologists explain that humans aren't naturally prepared for instant wealth. Our brains simply did not evolve to handle sudden, massive financial change. When people struggle financially for years, money becomes deeply tied to identity. Suddenly having millions creates confusion about who someone truly is. Old insecurities don't disappear. They often grow significantly stronger instead. Family and friends asking for money creates impossible emotional situations. Saying no feels like betrayal to people you deeply love. Saying yes repeatedly can quietly drain everything you have. Addiction, whether gambling or substances, often grows much worse with easy access. Without financial limits, dangerous behaviors can escalate extremely quickly. Money removes the natural boundaries that once existed before. Marriages already under stress rarely get magically fixed by money. Instead, wealth often exposes cracks that were always quietly there. Sudden riches simply provide more room for those cracks to grow. The Maddox family story teaches us something deeply important about happiness. Money alone cannot fix what's broken on the inside. Without emotional preparation, even $10 million can disappear completely. If you ever face sudden wealth, please remember this story clearly. Take time before making big decisions. Surround yourself with honest people, not people chasing your money. Protect your family's emotional bond above any amount of cash. Seek real financial guidance from trusted, qualified professionals immediately. Most importantly, never let money replace the values that built your life. The Maddox family once had nothing, then had everything, then lost it all. Their story is a powerful warning for all of us. Sudden fortune can be a blessing, or it can be a curse. It truly depends on how prepared your heart and mind really are. If this story touched you deeply, please share it with someone you care about. Sometimes the most valuable lesson isn't about money at all, but about what truly matters most in life.